Hey everyone, this is Eric coming from Kansas again. So I had a viewer question a few weeks ago on after you use a generator, how do you best store them so that you can use them again and they'll start properly, as in mostly related to fuel and how it lasts. So I want to go over that in this video. Hopefully I'll keep it short. So I'll go over gasoline first. So over here I've got a dual fuel generator, gasoline and propane, and over here I've got just a gasoline generator. So over in this one I run this one in gasoline. Haven't run gasoline in this one yet. I just run on propane. And there's some previous videos you can go back and look and see how that thing did. Did pretty good for us so far. Haven't run it in a while. It's been, I think, August since I last ran it, maybe. But at any rate, so I'm gonna go over gasoline first. Gasoline generators. So after you shut the generator off, most generators will have either this one has a dial here. When it's running, you just turn this off and the whole thing just shuts off. This one, I think you can turn it off with this dial here. So once you do that, and if you're running gasoline in these things, most of these things have carburetors. There might be a generator out there. I'm talking about portable generators. There might be a portable generator out there that may have fuel injection these days, but the vast majority of them, or all of them, have carburetors. And if you don't know what a carburetor is, do a quick search on it, DuckDuckGo or Google, wherever you prefer, and you can learn some basics pretty quick, I would imagine. But basically, a carburetor is fed. Well, most these kinds of carburetors and these small gas engines are fed by gravity. They're fed fuel by gravity. So there's a fuel tank on top here in this one, and over here in this one, it's where the gasoline goes in. And by gravity, the fuel goes down and fills up a little bowl up underneath the carburetor, and that bowl is what holds the little temporary amount of fuel, and it's the ballast, I guess you'd say, or it takes the load swings. It allows the load swings to be taken when you go up and load real quick, or go down, and takes the demand of that pretty well. That's why the size of the bowl is determined by how much load swing it needs to take before it starts taking in more fuel. So I'm going to show you what that carburetor bowl looks like in here, and then I'll go over why you need to know that. So I'll open up this one first. So in these Hondas, if you have one of these are pretty popular. Honda EU 2000. This is the companion one with the 30 amp twist lock plug. So if you look inside here, you're going to look and see where you might see an air filter here. Most of these things, you'll see an air filter with probably a screw or some pins on it you can undo, and there's a air filter in here, and you just follow that, and you'll eventually follow the flow of the air, and you'll see where it goes into usually a metal device, and that is your carburetor. Well, you'll have this is the choke right here. That's what allows you to start it properly. And then you'll see a series of tubes, which are drains if it overflows with gas or something like that. Up underneath here is the bowl for the carburetor. It's right here. You'll usually see a little round cup-shaped thing about this size of maybe a quarter cup or something like that, maybe an eighth cup, I don't know, something like that. So, and when you find this, you're going to want to try and find a screw. There's going to be a screw somewhere at the bottom of the the carburetor, or the bottom of the bowl of the carburetor, and that screw is going to allow you to drain the gas out after you use it, and if you're going to store it for a while. This is one way to store it. So after you shut it off, you're going to want to find this carburetor bowl and drain it, all the gas out. If you leave the gas in here for a long period of time, it will varnish, it will moisture will the gasoline will evaporate from it. It'll get thicker and it'll turn to a varnish, and it'll just gum everything up in there. You know, there's a needle valve in here that stops the flow of gas and keeps it from overflowing. There's jets in there with little tiny holes, much tinier than I can show here, that allow the gas to get into the airstream and then into the engine and combust. And those little tiny holes in that needle valve can get gummed up really easily if you don't do this after you use it. So one way to protect your generator from, or to make your generator able to run when you first start it back up after being stored, is you drain that carburetor bowl of gas if the fuel tank is full of gas and you don't want to waste it. The other method is you just run the whole thing out of gas until it doesn't run anymore, and you may want to pull start it a couple times and it may run a little bit longer, but you want to run it completely out of gas in the main gas tank, or you leave the gas in there if you want, and then you maybe put some stabilizer in there, and then you find the screw for the bowl and you drain the gas out, and that way the carburetor stays clean and it'll be ready to use for next time. And you drain the gas out and you tighten the screw back up so it's closed, and then it'll be ready to use for next time. And I should have also mentioned there's probably a shut-off valve to shut the fuel off to the carburetor also. I think I might have done that. Yeah, I think these things might come with I think that's what part of that on these Hondas. I think that actually shuts off the fuel to the carburetor as well. That's what that does, as well as a spark, kills the spark too. So anyway, that's gasoline. Two ways you can protect that and make it a run the next time you want to use it without having the carburetor get all gummed up. So yeah, make sure you also have a valve that goes from the tank to the carburetor, and shut that off too when you store it. I forgot to mention that. Propane. Propane. This one has a dual fuel, so it's got a carburetor in there also, and there's a plate in there that fits up in between the carburetor and the engine, which is where the propane gas flows in. I don't know if I can see it in here. Got a light here. Yeah, it'd be hard to see for you in here, but the propane comes in to here, this inlet, and I don't know if I can see it in there. Yeah, anyway, here's the carburetor bowl right here for this engine, right there. And you can see here's the spot where you drain the gas out of the carburetor bowl. You can see it has been used, it's perfectly clear on this one. But around, probably behind here, there's a inlet for the place where the propane gas is allowed to enter into the flow stream and then into the engine. So it's in there somewhere. But anyway, that's how the propane gets into a propane generator. Comes out of the tank. This tank has liquid in it. You can feel it when you buy it and you move it around. There's liquid in there. But when you apply, or when you subject propane to atmospheric pressures, that is the air we breathe, it turns into a vapor. And so these pressure regulators regulate that gas pressure because it gets pressurized in there. And then when you release the atmosphere, it stays a gas. and that gas flows through this tube, and the gas goes through this inlet, and then it goes into a plate in between the carburetor and the engine, and that's what sends gas and propane vapor gas, not gasoline, into the engine, and that's how it runs. So with it being a gas, there's no, when you use propane in a propane generator, all you're doing is sending the propane gas, vapor gas in here. So there's no liquid to collect anywhere. There's no, and propane is very clean in that when it evaporates, it's all gone. There's really nothing left. And so when you run on propane, there's really nothing you have to do to the engine to store it. You just turn the propane off, and if it's never had gas in it before, or if it doesn't have gas capability at all, you just shut it off and you store it. And then it's ready to go for next time. You just hook the propane up, follow the instructions to start the engine, and it should start it right up. And that's what is very beneficial about propane is it's very much easier to store. I would say it's cleaner burning in that there's no potential for particulate, but it does have still has NOx emissions and things like that, just like gasoline. But anyway, hope that helps. So propane, very little upkeep or very little you have to do to store it, because it comes in as gas, gets burned, and then goes out. Nothing stays in the engine. That is the fuel. But gasoline stays in the engine, obviously, in the carburetor, and you have to get rid of that somehow. Either run it completely out of gas or shut off a valve between the tank and the carburetor, and then drain the carburetor of gas. And that way of storing it will allow your carbureted engine to run for a long time if you do other things to upkeep it. So hope that helps. If you have any questions or any other comments, anything I missed, let me know. And yeah, grace and peace be with you. Bye for now.